Welcome to today's video. If you're thinking about buying a new build in Dove Mountain, this is exactly what I would show you if we were sitting down to do a consultation. We're going to go over every major builder in the area: Mattamy Homes, Fairfield Homes, Richmond American Homes. We're going to talk about pricing, incentives, location, convenience, you name it. And I'll even share some insider tips about incentives that builders are offering. But make sure you stick around to the end, because I'm gonna also share with you a little known secret that not very many people know about. There is a brand new phase opening up in Dove Mountain by a builder with a national reputation for craftsmanship and quality. And as a bonus, I'm also gonna share with you some real life scenarios that have happened just recently when helping buyers negotiate deals with new builders and incentives in the Dove Mountain area. I'll share those case studies with you so that you know exactly what can be achieved. You'll definitely want to hear how we did. Hey, I'm Rich, and my family's lived in Tucson for over 150 years. And if you want to know everything there is to know about lifestyle, real estate, and new builds in Tucson and the greater Tucson area, you've come to the right place. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, tap the bell for notifications so that you don't miss a thing. So diving right in here, let's start with a quick overview. Dove Mountain is located northwest of Tucson, tucked into the Tortolita Mountains, just north of Tangerine Road, about 8 minutes from Interstate 10, I-10, which is one of the main interstate that goes through the Tucson area. Now, it's known for its resort style, luxury, upscale style of living, mountain views, hiking trails, and a community vibe that really blends a great mix of retirees, empty nesters, professionals, but is also very family friendly. You've got access to the Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain, which is a premier location for golfing, leisure. They've got an incredible pool. They actually have some hiking trails that you can take right up into the Tortolita Mountains right through here as well. Wildboro Trailhead, amazing. If you haven't explored it, either on a hike or even a mountain bike, highly recommend. The Gallery Golf Club is not too far away here. Miles and miles of hiking and biking trails. They have over 30 miles of dedicated walking and biking paths throughout the community. And let's face it, this is the God honest truth. Some of the best sunsets and views of anywhere in Southern Arizona. Now, this is what's considered Dove Mountain proper here, or the Dove Mountain Loop, as you get north of Tangerine Road and you head up Dove Mountain Boulevard around this big loop. You've got the Tortolita Mountain Range, just sat right at the foothills of Dove Mountain, is sat right at the foothills of the Tortolita Mountain Range that kind of wraps around here. So Dove Mountain proper, but generally we're going to be talking about this area. We're going to be talking about a little bit further south of Tangerine over here in the Twin Peaks area, and a little bit further east as well over here. Now, for those of you that don't know, I've worked professionally in real estate for over 15 years. And in that time, I've helped a couple thousand people buy or sell a home here locally. So if you're looking for some expertise, if you're planning on making a move today or even a year from today, let's get connected. You can grab my contact information out of the description below. I'll put it on screen for convenience. You can call, text, email, even schedule a free Zoom consult so that we can meet face to face and discuss your goals and pair it with some resources and expertise that I bring to the table. All right, so first up, we got to talk about Mattamy Homes at Saguaro Reserve 2. Mattamy Homes is located all the way around the Dove Mountain Boulevard Loop, all the way at the end. Now, right off the bat, this location is incredible. I've worked in Dove Mountain for a long time. Mattamy has been one of the dominant builders in the Dove Mountain area, and the majority of their building have taken place on the southern part of Dove Mountain Boulevard, which is incredible. You have the Tortolita Nature Preserve here, which is a 10 to 12 mile loop through some natural open desert. It's great for biking, trail running, hiking. And so all of this primarily has been developed by Mattamy Homes through some of their different communities that they've developed over the last decade. Golden Barrel, and Blue Agave. This is the first community in Dove Mountain they've had on the other side of Dove Mountain Boulevard. And the cool thing is that it is located right on the Tortolita Mountains. These lots here, this is all Saguaro Reserve, and there's a couple different builders in here that we'll talk about. But this is the Tortolita Mountains. A lot of these lots, you start to really climb up the Tortolita Mountains around here, and you have just incredible views of saguaro studded hillsides, incredible sunsets and sunrises, and it really is a tremendous, tremendous view as you look down upon the Tucson Valley, and you really have a great vantage point from up here. Now, one thing that I love about this location that I think most buyers are very excited about is you have a ton of options. You have 14 different floor plans here with Mattamy. Their model homes are here, and they have several different home sites that are still available. Size ranges between about 1,730 square feet all the way up to almost 3,600 square foot, 2-bedroom to 5-bedroom floor plans, all single stories, which is amazing. You're not in Dove Mountain proper, you're not going to see any 2 stories, which is really ideal. Preserves views, keeps everything looking a little bit more uniform if you appreciate that. They do have several floor plans that accommodate a 4-car garage or an RV garage option if you have a boat, side-by-sides, toys, RVs, you name it. That is something that the community welcomes as well. Now, in terms of amenities that are in this location, it is gated, which is really nice. Most of the communities in the Dove Mountain area are going to be gated. So it does add to that privacy, that exclusivity feel. Lots and lots of mountain and desert views. You got 60 plus miles of trails. You have dog parks. You have a park just down the road here at the end. And because you're in Dove Mountain, you have easy access to over 80 holes of championship golf. Now, backyard lot size can vary. Let me switch over to this. You can see a lot of all of this is Mattamy's phase right here. Actually, part of this on Quail Brush Pass. These are different builders, which I'll mention, but Mattamy does have a large quantity of this. What's already been developed out right here. Their pricing starts at about $400,000. One thing that I was going to mention about their backyards, the views are incredible. There really isn't a terrible view from this community. Some of the most ideal view lots are going to be here on Blue Juniper, as this street sits quite a bit higher than everything below it. Many of these lots are incredible, as well as this run here, and lots are selling fast. But this is definitely one of the premier locations that Mattamy has developed in Southern Arizona, with prices starting in the 400,000s. It really is a very strong proposition for any buyer. Now, some of the pros with Mattamy is going to be they have very strong build quality. I personally have walked through hundreds and hundreds of different homes from various builders, you name it, all of the biggest names in town. And there is definitely not all builders and quality are created equal, even though it might be similar trades, similar construction, similar permitting process, similar areas, you will see a difference in quality. And personally, I agree that Mattamy is one of the most premier, most exceptional builders, production builders that we have in Southern Arizona. The other thing that is a pro is their desert modern design and emphasis on that. I'll show you this real quick so you can take a look. They have several different, what they call elevations, from a Spanish to a contemporary to a desert modern, as they call it. They even have a mid-century modern, which really kind of adds some angles to the front of the house and makes it look a little bit more mid-century modern, adds a little bit more dimension to it, which is really cool. Ideal for one level living. You have that flexibility for RV parking in garage RV parking, as well as 4-car garage for plenty of toys. Now, there are some cons. It's not always perfect, And so some of the cons would be the premium location and build quality does come with a price, especially for view lots. So this is gonna be representative of some of the most expensive production built homes in Southern Arizona. There is limited inventory as well, especially for any of the larger lots. And the size of the backyard is really going to be dictated based on the floor plan that you select and how much of that lot it actually takes up. Now, it could be a pro or a con, but since there are no two-story options here, that eliminates some of the more budget-friendly options. Trying to go two-story, maximize yard size, and maybe even getting an extra view, trying to pack in some bedrooms. So I listed that as a con, but I guess it could go either way. So next up, we're gonna take a quick walk from where we were at in the Mattamy portion of Saguaro Reserve 2, and we're gonna head over to Richmond American Homes. Now, Mattamy's models are built right here, and this is Richmond American. They only have one model built. They only have 4 floor plans. So you compare that to Mattamy that has 14. You've got a lot of flexibility with Mattamy, and sometimes it can be even a little bit overwhelming. They've got a wide range that they cater to, whereas Richmond American caters to something very, very specific. 4 floor plans, all single family. This is their model here, and they have the majority of their home sites all here. And they range in size. They are larger homes. So whereas Mattamy caters to a wide range of homes starting at 1,700 to about 36, Richmond has really hung their hat on a sweet spot between about 2,700 square feet all the way up to about 3,150 square feet. These are 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom floor plans that are typical, and they are all single story. Now, similar amenities to what we just mentioned with Mattamy being in the same location. You can see some of their lots. I have recently helped a buyer acquire a home right on this lot, and it is incredible. You've got great sunset views. You have quick access to the Dove Mountain Park here, and you've got a big buffer between you and your neighbor, so lots of privacy. Now, over the years, Richmond actually has changed their strategy from building almost exclusively ground up builds where you come in and pick your site, your floor plan, your upgrades, and they start building it, to spec homes. So in this community, they are constantly building new spec homes and new inventory for you to choose from. They do tend to load their homes with quite a few added features, which are really nice. One of which I recently discovered with a buyer is that they offered a 400 amp panel upgrade on one of the spec homes here, which, if you know what a 400 amp panel means, it means you've got plenty of electricity, whether you want to build a sauna, an outdoor kitchen, you want to charge 25 Teslas at once, whatever you want to do, you've got plenty of power. So for anyone who has big plans for their backyard or big plans for their house and really wants to go all out with electrical, then you've got plenty of power. So that's just an example. They've got several other models with cafe appliances, which are upgraded appliances, very functional floor plans, having walked through several of them just recently. Now, backyard sizes, they're going to be pretty similar to what we see generally in this community. The lot locations are going to be fairly similar, but the size of the home can vary, and that is the biggest reason that you'll see larger backyards or smaller backyards. They're focusing down on a niche of homes between 2,700 and about 3,200 square foot, those larger homes. That's really what they're catering. Their prices start in the mid 700s. Now, some of the pros for this Richmond community is they're value oriented for a new builds. They have a quicker move-in because they are building a lot of spec inventory, and oftentimes they have a lot of upgraded features that are included. Now, some of the cons, as you probably have already picked up, there's only 4 floor plans, so much fewer floor plan options, a lot less variety in terms of the lots themselves. There is a lack of ultra premium view lot inventory compared to other builders in the area, just because of the way their lots are oriented. I would say these are probably some of the more premier lots, maybe this stretch here on Bella Perron Lane as well. So nothing to shake us, nothing to turn your nose up at. But I do think that in Saguaro Reserve, if you are just fixated in an ultra premium view lot, these are good. There are some better options. So because of that, I would say that that's a con. So next up, we're going to head a little bit down. We're going to head a little bit out of the Saguaro Reserve community down Dove Mountain Boulevard. And we're going to head up to the Fairfield Homes Boulder Canyon location. So this Boulder Canyon by Fairfield Homes, if you're not familiar with Fairfield Homes is a custom home builder. They are a local home builder, and they specialize in that semi-custom or custom built home. This particular location, they offer 5 different floor plans ranging from about 2,200 square foot all the way up to almost 3,700 square foot. And for their base plans, those are 3 bedrooms plus, all single stories. You're not going to see any 2 stories in this area of Dove Mountain, which is really nice. And it's just east of Saguaro Reserve, which is all here. We just talked about Mattamy and Richmond. And right next door, next to the Ritz-Carlton Golf Course, we have Fairfield Homes at Boulder Canyon. So still quite a few lots available here. You can see there's been several of them built out. You are definitely going to see a much more luxurious style home. You're going to see much more upgraded and luxury styled features and finishes within the home. This is a gated luxury golf community, view lots overlooking the Tortolita Mountains, and it includes a golf club at Dove Mountain membership, plus the Gallery Sports Club access as well, which the gallery is just a little bit down the road over here. Now, as you would imagine, jumping into a luxury category, you are going to be able to benefit from larger lots, that premium view, cul-de-sac positions, a little bit more privacy from your neighbor, and that full custom feel. Starting in the 700,000s for the smallest floor plan, around 2,100 square feet, it can go well above $1 million, 1.2, 1.3, even upwards from there for some of their larger homes. Now, the pros are the high-end finishes. If you're someone who really appreciates those high-end finishes and that's what you're looking at, just to show you on the website, you do have superb views, and that privacy, those bigger lots, they really change the feel from something that feels more like a tract house. Let's face it, in Saguaro Reserve 2, I love that community, but you've got 5 foot to 7 foot setbacks between your house and the wall, which means you got 10 to 15 foot between you and your neighbor on most homes. So with a little bit more space between neighbors, a little bit larger backyard, and a little bit superior view, it really kind of ties the high-end finishes with the exclusivity and extra size of the community and the lots to put together and bundle up all of those luxury amenities. Now, some of the cons are going to be for sure the price. Entry price in the 700,000s for a smaller floor plan. There's definitely going to be longer build times, although they tend to build some spec homes as well. So if you find a spec home that you like, that could be a way that you really are able to take advantage of something that is done sooner. Another con is there's not a whole lot of starter affordable options. So that may lead to you exceeding your budget, especially for some relocation buyers. All right, next up, we're gonna take another trip outside of Dove Mountain proper. We're gonna zoom out Dove Mountain Boulevard all the way down the loop. By the way, if you're familiar with Dove Mountain, you already appreciate this, but if you're not and you're considering Dove Mountain, when you drive into Dove Mountain and you see these Tortolita Mountains and you see all the gated communities and the golf courses and the views left and right, man, it's a special feel. But the coolest part of Dove Mountain in terms of the drive is when you leave, because when you come down, you crest this hill around here and it's all downhill, and you just have the most incredible view of all of the Tortolita Mountains, the different desert, the different desert landscapes, as well as the Santa Catalina Mountains that are far into the distance that wrap around the northwestern part of Tucson, Catalina Foothills, Oro Valley. And so that is one of my favorite views for sure. You can see where we're headed to Mattamy Homes, Montelena. So we would take this all the way down to Tangerine over. Now, this is a really interesting proposition if you're considering Dove Mountain. And I really think that you need to consider this being someone who has worked for many, many, many years in Dove Mountain and being someone who is very soon going to be a resident of Dove Mountain. I've gone through this consideration. And one of the things that I like about this community is although this Dove Mountain proper is beautiful, it really is something to experience. It does take about 7 or 8 minutes to get from back here where we were at Saguaro Reserve all the way to Tangerine. So this whole drive, and that's going slightly over the speed limit. I would say if you're going the speed limit, you're going to be going probably closer to 10 minutes or so. So that immediately is going to save you quite a bit of time because once you get on Twin Peaks, it is a pretty quick commute to I-10. Now that's where Montelena comes in with a very appealing proposition. They have floor plans ranging in price from about 2,300 square feet all the way up to 3,300 square feet, 3 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms, and there is a mix of single stories and 2-story floor plans. So you can see the subdivision here. Now it's a modern community, much like a lot of the Mattamy communities. They are all very modern feeling, which personally I appreciate. They do a good job blending that contemporary, modern, and a little bit of our Southwestern feel all in one really nice package. Now, for being in Dove Mountain and in the Dove Mountain area, I really think this is a good value for the area. You've got access to Twin Peaks and I-10 through Tangerine, that's going to shave probably 10 to 15 minutes off of most commutes, whether you're going into Oro Valley, going into Northwest Tucson, or hopping on I-10 to commute to work, or even downtown for some live entertainment and a nice dinner. Now, backyard lot sizes over here are going to be moderately sized. They're going to be less expansive than luxury foothills lots on a hillside, but they are going to be really good for value. Now, I think one of the pros is going to be that if you aren't too keen on the commute from, say, Saguaro Reserve, which again is going to add probably another 10 minutes to your commute just to get to Tangerine. This is really ideal. It's a value entry into Dove Mountain and the Dove Mountain region. It does have newer amenities. It's got shorter wait times and it's got shorter drive times. Now, some of the cons are going to be they are going to have smaller lots. They're going to have fewer mountain views and fewer buffers between neighbors to prevent noise and kind of limit privacy. The other thing to consider, those 2 stories may mean that upstairs bedrooms feel less ideal if a buyer wants everything all on one level. All right, so going just a little bit north, we're gonna head over to another Fairfield home community, and this is called Sonoran Preserve. Now, these floor plans, again, Fairfield Homes is a custom home builder, semi-custom and custom home builder. This is a much different experience. And just to kind of reiterate, since they are a semi-custom and custom home builder, the experience going through a production builder like a Richmond American or a Mattamy Homes, it's very black and white. There's very little gray. You've got your selections, you've got your lots, you've got your pricing, and you've got your options for tile and flooring and cabinets and countertops and you name it, like options for where you can put electrical, plumbing, what type of electrical upgrades you might be able to do, you name it. But when you go to Fairfields, you really have all of the benefit of building a custom home with all of the convenience of working through a system that irons out all of the details. And so what I mean by that is when you're building a custom home, it can be very overwhelming. It can be daunting even because there are so many decisions that you feel on your own. If you're not working with someone like Fairfield, it can be a lot of problem solving constantly and decision making. And that decision fatigue is real. Trust me. I've built a custom home before, and having been through that process and then now being on the final steps of a production built home with Mattamy, I see a very stark difference. There's pros and cons to both sides. And I think that Fairfield Homes is a great blend of both of those things, bringing all of the flexibility and all of the decision to choose exactly what you want and limit all of the fatigue of being overwhelmed with the whole process. So I just wanted to mention that because Fairfield Homes, I think, does an incredible job of giving you that production builder convenience with the custom home builder flexibility. Now, these floor plans are estate styled floor plans. Typically, and again, I say typically because they're a semi-custom custom home builder, many of their lots, they would be willing to build something other than what they had planned to build there. So you could find a floor plan that they have already built, that they have plans for, or go a full custom floor plan that could be fit and permitted for a lot that they have in this community and go that route. That's an example of the flexibility that I'm talking about. But typically their plans range between 3,000 and about 3,800 square feet. These are larger lots on an acre, which is really, really nice. You've got lots of space, and these are primarily single story, sometimes very high-end luxury, and it may even include a second story as part of the build. Lots of privacy and desert views. You've got fewer home sites, so it's going to feel like a tight-knit community in here, and you've got premium pricing that comes along with all of that listed as well. Larger acreage lots, excellent for privacy and outdoor living spaces and lifestyle. Now, some of the pros are going to be top-tier views, as well as you get a top-tier home with a lot of packed with luxury features and a luxury product. It's standout resale positioning because it is essentially a custom home, and Fairfield has a great reputation in town, building some incredible estates, very unmatched in terms of their convenience and quality. Now, cons, of course, the cost is much higher than several of the other options that we've discussed in terms of a production build. There is a longer build phase because you are building custom, and it's not ideal for budget-minded buyers or those seeking something that are ready now and turnkey. So next up, we're gonna take a trip over to a brand new community that literally just opened in like the last month or so. This is Mattamy Homes Tivera at Twin Peaks. Google Maps hasn't even picked it up yet, but it is going to be located in this area here. They've got floor plans that range from 2,200 square foot all the way up to 3,046 square feet. 5 different floor plans that they offer, 3-car garages, and they have a multi-generational suite option, which adds a ton of flexibility and functionality to the home as well. There is a mix of single story and 2 stories as well, depending on the plan and the lots. And the amenities, since it's a new project, it's an entry point into Dove Mountain in Twin Peaks corridor. And because of that, it does have an emphasis. This community does emphasize kind of next value tier, meaning that this is a great option for step-up buyers, people who are maybe in and around the Dove Mountain area looking for a little bit more size, maybe something a little newer, maybe a little bit more, maybe looking for some upgrades in the kitchen or bathrooms and want some convenience of knowing that that's all done before they move in. Now, in terms of the lot sizes, I know nothing is showing here on the map, but there are smaller to moderate lots currently in the early phases, but they are a good value for what you get. One thing that I love about this location is it is right off of Twin Peaks, and in terms of convenience in Dove Mountain, it really doesn't get much better than this. You've got easy access just north to the Dove Mountain area, Tangerine Sky Park, all of the shopping, some dining in some of these strip malls as well. But you have easy access into the northwest portion of Tucson, which has a lot of things to do, from things to do with the family, places to eat, things to check out, employment opportunities, but you also have easy access to the premier outlets and I-10 corridor. Now, if you're looking to get a Mattamy home in the Dove Mountain general area, this is going to be one of the most affordable options, starting in the $500,000 range. This is a great entry level into Dove Mountain. You get the new build tech, energy efficiency, you get early phase savings potential because it just recently opened. And as I've talked about in a lot of my videos, when you watch these communities start, these pricing in the initial phase is almost always more favorable than pricing at the later end of the phase or the later end of the development. Now, some of the cons are because it just opened, there's not a whole lot of inventory built, so the time frame is still a bit longer out. Very few completed spec homes. Some community amenities are in development, but again, those are going to take some time to be completed as well. Now, next up, I'm going to share with you the bonus that I mentioned earlier in the video. I'm going to share with you what new phase is opening up and what builder is going to claim that phase. But before I do so, I just want to remind you, if you are in the market and considering buying a new build, we need to get connected so that I can share with you the actual behind the scenes of what is being negotiated and the tactics that we utilize to ensure that our clients get the best deal and the best home with the most convenience. So feel free to grab my contact information out of the description below. You can call, text, email, or even schedule a free Zoom consult. No matter where you're located, we can meet face to face and discuss your goals and how to help you get there. Last thing before we start talking about the new phase opening up in Dove Mountain, let's talk a little bit about builder incentives. Now, these fluctuate from time to time. They are not a static thing that stay the same. Builder incentives in general in Dove Mountain throughout my career have been limited because it is a premier location, and oftentimes some of the highest pricing and biggest demand that we see for any production homes in Southern Arizona. Now, that being said, right now happens to be a moment where incentives in Dove Mountain are at the all-time high. I have never seen incentives as high as they are now, not only from what the builder offers up front, but also what I am able to negotiate for our buyers who work with us to work strategically to get the best deal. And there is a strategy to it for sure. Right now, we're seeing interest rates between 4.99 and 5.25%. These are also paired with covering most closing costs, if not all of the closing costs. We've even seen rates bought down below that, but that's generally what we're seeing. And again, it's all a moment in time, so this can change, but I will tell you this, incentives now in Dove Mountain are the best that I've ever seen. I don't know how long that will last, but if you are considering Dove Mountain, this is an opportune time to reach out so that I can share with you exactly what is not only being offered on the front end, but what's being negotiated and agreed to behind the scenes that the public never gets to hear about unless they are part of the negotiation that we expose them to. Another thing to keep in mind is that the best time to buy strategically from these builders is going to be towards the end of their fiscal year. Now, each builder has a little bit of a different timeline on when their fiscal year ends. It's not always the Q4 of the calendar year. Sometimes it does line up that way, but sometimes it doesn't. And it really takes an expert like myself to understand which builder's fiscal year is ending and how to make sure we navigate that, because that is the time when builders are most likely to let go the biggest deals. Another thing that we negotiate pretty frequently are things like additional appliances, included blinds, landscaping in the backyard, as well as money off of the price, the overall price of the home, or off of the lot premium. The last thing that I wanted to mention about this is it is always a great opportunity to compare the builder's in-house lending incentives with an outside lender. Oftentimes, the in-house lender with a builder does have quite an advantage with the incentives that are tied to using them, but that doesn't always mean that that is the best deal long-term on a 30-year fixed or 15-year fixed loan. Sometimes those costs can be inflated in terms of how much it costs to buy down the rate and what that rate is actually going to be. I can speak from just recently, one of these builders that I mentioned was offering a 5.25% rate with the same concession being used, and an outside lender was actually able to get a 4.75 rate. So a 0.5% difference on a 30-year fixed mortgage. Everything is the same, but the in-house builder was inflated on how much that it was going to cost to buy down that rate in comparison to an outside lender. So it is important to shop side by side. It's not just about price. Smart buyers understand that there are several different variables and specific strategies to ensure that we get you the best deal. All right, and as promised, I'm going to share with you the insider scoop on what's going on. I am in this community several times a week, and I watch what is happening. And there are two new model homes being built right here. I've walked through the frame of both of these floor plans, and I had a sneaking suspicion on who they were just based on the floor plans feeling familiar. Pulte Homes is confirmed to be building their new models here. I'm not exactly sure where they're going to be, but I do believe they're going to be here on Lone Eagle. And so these lots are premier lots facing the golf course here with incredible views. These lots over here have just Tortolita Mountains soaring above them with lots and lots of lush Ocotillo landscaping and saguaro landscaping. So very exciting. Pulte builds a very high quality home. I think one of the most exceptional builders in Tucson among several of the ones that I've mentioned. And I'm excited to see exactly what floor plans they release. There isn't much information. There's really nothing on their website. So trust me, I would share the nitty gritty if I could. But in very much Pulte fashion, Pulte did have a phase of this community here on Twin Saguaros. I've helped several people buy those several years ago when they were still active. But similar to these floor plans, many of them have one of my favorite features, which is the portico that you walk under into this private courtyard. They have 2 and 3 car garages. I'm not sure whether they're going to have RV options or not, but that will soon be discovered. And maybe I'll make another video shortly on exactly what that community has once it's released and all that information is public. Lastly, if you want a copy of my Dove Mountain builder comparison, I'm happy to shoot that to you. Grab my email out of the description below. I'll put it on screen here. You can ask for it in the email. Just title your email Dove Mountain builder comparison sheet, and I'm happy to email that over to you. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up if you got some value out of it. Comment below which of these communities and which of these areas you are considering the most, which ones got you the most excited. I personally love reading and responding to all of those comments. And until next time, thank you so much, and I hope to see you around the neighborhood.